And we are live. Welcome to the Volleyball Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Alejandro De Mendoza, club director, private coach, and someone who's passionate about helping players, coaches, and parents grow in the game we all love. Each week, we break down training, mindset, and performance strategies with some of the best athlete, coaches, and experts in volleyball. The goal is simple: to give you the tools, stories, and insights you can use right away, whether you're competing as a player, leading as a coach, or supporting as a parent. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Coach Kha. Coach Kha is the founder of Volleyball University and has coached over 500 players online, helping athletes around the world and around the country improve their skills and confidence on the court. His own journey began on the B team in high school, and after being cut as a sophomore, he worked his way up to become a varsity captain, MVP, and all-conference player. That experience inspired him to create Volleyball University, a place where players who want to put in extra work can access the coaching, resources, and guidance they need to succeed. With over 400,000 followers across social media engaged with his educational volleyball coaching videos, Coach Kha has built a platform that reaches players worldwide. Through Volleyball University, he now helps players reach a college-ready level so they can achieve their dream of playing volleyball at the next level. Coach Kha, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome, man. That's a great intro. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Excited to just talk about volleyball. Excited just to talk to you again too. So, I haven't seen you since I think it was December when we first met, right?
Yeah, we first met at the Red Hat Games. Where Kara Hill invited us to do a camp in Dallas, which was pretty awesome. I got to meet a lot of coaches like yourself, right? You're Chicago based, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So I got to meet a lot of really cool coaches from, across the country and put on a really, really good event with Kara Hill.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. So we're going to do a little preview right now of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about at-home training, developing skills outside the gym, and just guidance for players and coaches and parents. So let's talk about the player side real quick. So just taking ownership of your growth. What inspired you to create Volleyball University, and how does it help players?
Yeah, I think there's it's kind of a two-way answer. Like the first thing that really inspired me at first was creating a resource that I would have really benefited from in high school. I didn't play club volleyball until I think my junior year of high school. And I think I worked the summer of my sophomore year to even afford it, and like you mentioned in the intro, when I was a sophomore, I did get cut from the team, and I was looking for ways to get better so I can keep trying to make the team eventually. And I ended up doing, along with club volleyball, which I can finally play, practicing a lot in my garage. So different types of drills that I would just kind of do on my own or look on YouTube. But YouTube, I graduated in 2008, so I'm older. But YouTube back then, there was resources on there, but it's nothing like it is now. You have TikTok now, Instagram. There's so many videos you can look at to learn from home. But I was just kind of scrapping up what I could. And I thought of okay, there's a couple of things that exist like this, but I think there needs to be more. More is better. So let's create a resource that will allow players to practice from home and get better if they're driven to do so. So that's kind of the first reason I did it, was for the younger version of me. And the second thing is kind of a selfish reason, which is my personal life. I've been coaching for a long time, but I'm in the family stage now where we just have our son just turned 2, and I created Volleyball University almost 3 years ago, almost in anticipation of this, or, God willing, we'll have some more children eventually. So I know that I can't be out there coaching club teams as much or high school teams like I usually do. And this allows me to coach from home and still spend time with my family while the kids are young. And then, in probably 8 years, I'll get back out there again and do more in-person stuff. But that's my selfish reason for creating it too.
Nah, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. That's funny that I didn't know you started club volleyball. I didn't start until my junior year either. I was a basketball player. I didn't.
I was a basketball player too for a little bit.
Yeah, I was. It's funny. I was playing basketball pretty much my whole life. I didn't really get into volleyball until high school, and the JV coach came to my facility after the basketball season and just asked the freshman coach, "Hey, is there any tall basketball players who want to play volleyball?" And I'm like, dude, I want to get out of running.
Yeah.
I'll join. I don't care. And that was my introduction to volleyball. And it wasn't until my junior year. I played 2 years at club.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Yeah, isn't it funny how when you go from basketball practice to volleyball practice, how much less running it is, easier in terms of how much effort you have to put in. Like,
Dude,
you obviously try hard, but like running sprints, like suicides is ladders, whatever it's called now. Like, it's different.
no, absolutely. Like in basketball, you're just literally running up and down, up and down. You can not even touch the ball and you're just running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then
Right.
volleyball's like, man, there's like the court's small, 6 guys on like a small court and just like, man, this is not that bad. I kind of like this, man. A lot less jumping. But
Exactly.
that's awesome. That I love that. What club did you play at?
I played at, it don't even exist anymore. It's like a club called Excel. They were like around for like, I don't know how many years, like maybe 4 or 5 years. That was part of the reason why I was able to even afford it. Cause I was like, the bigger clubs, I couldn't afford that. This is like a new club. So like they were looking for players and they like gave you, I was one of the last to join, I think. So they gave me a discount on top of that because they just needed like a roster fill, So our team like we weren't like anything like phenomenal, but like the biggest thing for club, in my opinion, is just the ability to play games and like have exposure to volleyball. So like I got to practice twice a week. I got to play tournaments, and that's all I really needed.
What position do you play?
Primarily setter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are the most common mistakes you see players make when training on their own?
I think the biggest thing I see is like one, choosing the right drill to do. Like the good thing about there being like so much resources out there is like they have so much to choose from. The bad thing is that they have so much to choose from. So like if you go on YouTube and type in like passing drill, you'll see a ton of drills. Some of them are going to be better than others. Some of them might be at a level that you're not ready for, right? And the biggest mistake I see players making is they basically just either do a drill kind of wrong or they're doing a drill that they shouldn't be doing yet, type of thing. Like a big common one for this, not a drill, but like a skill. Like you probably see this all the time as a coach. It's like players want to jump serve when they can't even overhand serve standing yet. It's like, all right, you got to do this first and then you can do the other thing. So I think there's so many resources out there. They choose the wrong one, either like because they don't know or because they just don't know where their level's at right now. And it kind of holds them back a little bit, it like messes up your progress when you're on the wrong level.
No, absolutely. Like the progression, right? Like
Exactly.
crawl before you walk, then you run, right? Just making sure that they have a good foundation, a good base, and just understanding again, like you said, like when you go on YouTube, like it's just all there. So much information and just trying to figure out, hey, where do I start instead of just jumping right into like, I'm just going to go for this top spin jump serve. You know what? Or I'm just going to be learning to run a go or really fast offense, like before you even know how to do a high ball.
Yeah. So I would say it's probably that. That's what I see most.
How can players maximize improvement outside of team practices?
I think, like we kind of talked about, it's about choosing the right drill to do. And then once you choose the right drill, I think it's about the progressive overload. So it's like, if you're training like a muscle, for example, like you're bench pressing or you're squatting, like that you should be squatting like 100 pounds this week and then eventually 105 and so on. And like when you're doing a drill at home, you have to kind of know how to progress on it once you've like mastered that current level. So I think make progress on it too. Don't just like set just to set. I think intention is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Making sure you have an idea, a progression, right? I think that's usually where just like the coach comes in, right? Where the coach has this knowledge, whether it's a strength coach or a volleyball coach of like, all right, we know what the highest level looks like, but this is the next step for you, and understanding, all right, once we complete that, getting on to the next one. And, we don't want to be doing that beginner stuff our whole career. We want to be progressing, right? Adding a little bit more variable, increasing the difficulty, right? And that's how we improve, right? We keep on adding layers to it and variability, and we keep on making some improvement that our hope is that it's going to translate into the game.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think just another side thing is just, especially nowadays, I feel like players are so busy. Like a lot of them do have practice 2 to 3 times a week in tournaments. It is a bigger commitment to do that extra work from home. But you want to kind of just, again, try to be intentional about it. Set a time, like even if it's just like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, even 10 minutes, like just if you are really focused for that 10 minutes, you can get some type of work in. It's always better than no work. Because I think even from what I've seen, like nowadays, it is so much easier to kind of stand out and make progress from home because a lot of players just aren't going to do it. Like that's just the fact of the matter, right? like a lot of players say they want it, but not everyone's going to like do the work from home, right? The extra stuff. It's like, oh, I already went to practice. I already did this. I'm good to go, which, maybe you are, but like if you want to do more, then you have to be kind of committed to it. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, you gotta find some extra time to do some other stuff, to work on your weaknesses.
Yep.
Whether it's your passing or setting, you got to be able to get some extra reps in wherever you can. And ideally, you want to do it with a court, right? With a ton of balls, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not realistic for everyone. But just because you don't have a court, it doesn't mean you can't be getting better. You can't be improving. Is it going to be equal to what you could do on a court? Maybe, maybe not. But I think over time, getting those little extra reps, they really, really add up.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. No doubt.
Do you have like one or two favorite drills athletes can do at home that makes a really big impact?
I think the biggest thing is just getting those touches. And like I said, those intentional touches. So like even something as simple as like a wall setting drill. And I'm speaking from like, perspective of, I'm mainly a setter here, but like you can do so much with that. That's why I really like that drill. Cause it's not just setting on the wall. Like you can, and working on like your hand placement or whatever else. You're also working on like, you can work on different speeds, tempos, right? You can work on different height. You can work on setting a ball that has a lot of spin on it. So you can toss with a lot of spin. So you can like change variables in the drill to make yourself learn setting in a different way, like side setting or having someone like toss the ball at you so you can set off a pass type of thing. So I'm a big fan of the wall setting drill just because there's so much variety you can do on it. And then I think, same thing pretty much for the passing drill too. Like if you just have a ball on a wall, you can do a bunch of variables for that as well. I do think also like, let's say you're just in your backyard, if you're just working on your hitting, if you just toss the ball like in different spots, I call it like the random toss hitting drill. You have to like work on moving your feet there and just getting good contact on it. Like that's super helpful too. You just like practicing those things, the imperfect reps is going to help you when you are like in game time situations where we know that like it's rare that you get the perfect set and the perfect timing and all that. You have to just make those adjustments. And then you can do that literally from your backyard, like work on those hitting adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much variation. Like as a hitter, you're never gonna get the same set twice. Your setter's not a robot,
Right.
right? He's a human. So there's gonna be always slight variations every single time you jump and hit the ball. That means the timing of your footwork, how big your steps are, the distance away from the net. Like there's always gonna be so much variation. Same thing with setting, right? The pass quality, the type of pass you're gonna get, it's not always gonna be the same. Right? Sometimes it's going to be a high pass, a low pass, going to the left, going to your right. There's always going to be variation and making sure that, hey, we're adding a little variability to the types of balls we're receiving is, I think, massive and really, really huge.
Yeah.
I have a question for you though. Volleyball University, do you know like position wise, do you have like, is it mostly like setters, hitters, passers? Is it like an equal distribution? I'm just curious. I have no idea.
That's a good question. Yeah. I mean, people probably have that question too. It's really skills based, right? So there are courses on each skill where like it's passing, setting, hitting, defense, blocking. And then even in those courses, there's like we stuck to the Volleyball University theme. So like if you're a beginner player, there's a 101 version you take. If you're more advanced, 201. Then like if you're really advanced, 301, right? So it's like you can level up that way. And then just recently, actually, I added like a kind of like a course roadmap that's based on position. So it's like if you play outside hitter, these are the courses you should take, right? To the levels. Like you should take passing course all the way up to 301. You should take the hitting course all the way up to 301, right? Like if you're a libero, for example, you might not need to take the hitting course 301 level. You can probably take the 101 level and be, good there. So there is like position in terms of what courses you should take, but it's really just skill based in terms of the actual course titles and all that.
No, I love that. I think it's really important for athletes to be well-rounded. Like regardless of your position, like if you're a setter, you should still be getting some passing and defense reps, right? You shouldn't really want to limit yourself to only focusing on your setting, right? And all the other positions, right? I think that's really good that it's skill-based, right? Because I think athletes can easily identify, you know what, like, man, my blocking's not great, or
Exactly.
I need to really work on my setting, and they can actually like pick something and be like, all right, okay, these are the things I can do to level this up, right? Regardless of what position I play. Maybe you didn't get those reps in practice, right?
Yeah.
Having it skill-based, I think everyone can identify things they're not good at. And maybe like you're a certain position and you're not getting those reps in practice that like, you're not good at, but the fact that you have stuff skill-based at Volleyball University, you can be like, dude, I didn't get any passing reps today. Oh, but I can go online. Bam. I can go home and get those passing reps on my own.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, like pick whatever skill you have to work on and just go from there. So it's designed to be kind of like that.
Yeah. I really like that autonomy that players get, and they can take a little bit of ownership in their own development, right? Instead of kind of being at the whim of the coach in practice where it's pretty much what they want.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like what they believe that the team needs to get better on. Like you can actually be, picking out what you want to get better at.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the coaches side, right? Just helping athletes train smarter. How can coaches encourage players to take advantage of resources like the Volleyball University?
I think like part of it is I've seen coaches do this, which is great, where you just find a helpful video and you send that to your players, right? So if you have a group text for your team, it could be like, hey, this is a great video on how to use angles for passing or something like that, and send it to your group and like have them practice it from home that way. I've had coaches tell me that, like, this is great. I've sent this to my team, things like that. So I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. If you want to take it like a step further, you can like kind of do what I do, which is like have them record themselves doing the drill, and then you can give them feedback based on that, right? That is an extra step. I know that most club coaches or coaches in general, like, have other jobs, might have families. So like it's the extra mile to do stuff like that, right? Which is another reason why Volleyball University can be helpful. It's like, that's my main thing. So like, I don't have a team to coach. I just coach individuals like that. So, cause it is tough to like, or some coaches are still in school, whatever it might be. So that would be the next level, is like send them the drill and then tell them to record it, and then you can take a look at it. Or maybe they can record it and they can take a look at it. Cause sometimes when you see yourself in third person, you can notice more too. So that would be my advice there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think sending video, I think kids nowadays, I maybe always, but especially now with like social media, I think they're like visual learners. I think they've been getting better at being visual learners. And I think kids really enjoy watching other people do it, like professionals or even themselves performing the skills to really, I think they really get a really good grasp of like, all right, this is what it should look like, or yeah, this is what I'm doing wrong. Or like, oh man, this is how I look like. Man, I didn't even know
Exactly.
this is how I look like when I perform this skill. In their minds, they might think they're like doing something different, but like when they watch themselves like game film or just them doing something at home, it's like, oh wow, that's what I look like.
Yeah. Even when I'm doing like private lessons, sometimes I will like just record it real quick and say, oh yeah, you're actually not drawing your elbow back. Like, do you see? And like, oh yeah, okay. Cause you can tell them, and then when they see it, like, oh, okay, I get it. So
no, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, again, it's the video's the reality. And then they have this concept of perception in their mind of what they look like. And when you show them the video, it's like, oh, wow, that's what I actually look like. And we're just trying to meld the two, right? What they think and what they're actually seeing in reality in the video. What are some ways coaches can integrate at-home drills skill development into their programs?
Like I said, I think like if you as a coach and you're assuming you're coaching for more than a year, you're like continuing it, you can kind of have your own collection of like good passing drills that you find online, or like good setting drills where you can kind of pair it to individual players. That's what I would do, is like, if I know that I have a setter that's struggling with his back set or her back set, I found a good back setting video and I can send it to her so she can have like that extra coaching on the side, right? So again, it's a little bit extra, but I think a lot of coaches out there are willing to do stuff like this. Like a lot of coaches do care like this. So they kind of, the best way I see of doing it is have your lists, grow it over time of your own little online resources, and then you can just send them out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all coaches, when players come up to them and say, hey, what else can I be doing? And I think a lot of coaches are always going to be willing to be sending them videos, sending them extra stuff they can be doing at home, and not just like, we'll just get to it next practice, right? I think, hey, like you can, most coaches I feel like are willing to help, are willing to do that little extra thing just to send them a video, just so they can be doing things on their own at home, or just in general.
Yeah, because I mean, like we both coach teams. It's hard to like, you're not going to stop a whole drill to be like, all right, I need to work with Jennifer on her approach right now. Like you can't do that, because your job is to coach the team, like the system, right? So it's like you can't, like there's times where you might do that and work more individual stuff, but for the most part, you're coaching 12, sometimes more players at a time. So it's like, this allows you to approach them more at an individual level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's this. When you're coaching a team as a coach, you really got to think of the team as a whole, and it's just really tough to get it individualized. Sometimes you have to think of it as a whole, and sometimes you can't just address things you could address like in a one-on-one or in a private lesson. What mistakes do coaches sometimes make when it comes to off the court development?
I mean, we touched on this a little bit. I think it's hard to know because there's so many coaches out there too. So I don't want to like generalize, but I think I have noticed or seen coaches that send drills to their players, but don't really check back in on it, right? So like, like we know that like this person has to work on their blocking. You might send them a blocking video, but you never really like say, hey, did you try that blocking drill? How did it go? Or if you say, how did it go? They might just be like, oh yeah, it went good. And you don't know for sure if they did it or not. So it's kind of adding in that accountability aspect, maybe of like, did you do the drill? Again, like send me a video of the drill so I can give you the most important thing I do as a coach, which is feedback, right? It's like, if you don't get feedback on it, how do you know if you're doing it right type of thing? So I think the biggest one is kind of starting the process, but not finishing it, right? Because I think with skills, it's like a circle of like, you have to like have a learning opportunity. You have to practice it. And then you need that feedback so you can practice it again. And you keep getting better like that. But if you just kind of give them the learning opportunity and assume they practice and then never revisit, then the circle is not complete. So it's like, I think that'd probably be the biggest mistake that some coaches are making when they
I think
do send out
just no, yeah, I completely agree. I think it's just not enough. Like, here's a video, good luck, right? It has to be a little bit going back and forth and very collaborative.
Exactly.
Where you give them feedback, they give you feedback back, and you just keep on going back and forth. I wish it was that easy, right? Like, here's a video, bam, you got better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, man, I'd be a really good coach if it was that easy. No, but it takes some time, right? Some nuances, that's where you as a coach, you guide the athlete through it, depending on the skill, whether it's like blocking and maybe understanding the footwork or how to press and how to get over, hand placement, and, really, and you kind of have to kind of ask questions, right? And see and check for really understanding. Are they understanding the skill? Are they understanding like, hey, why did I send you this video? What was the key points that I wanted to show you, right? That I wanted you to remember that I need you to maybe work on or improve, or whether they came to you and they asked for something like, hey, I want to get better at X, Y, or Z. And you send them something like, you gotta kind of follow up. You got to make sure like, all right, why do we want to get better at this? Why is it important?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's very important to do it that way.
Yeah. So how do you see technology and online academies shaping the future of volleyball training?
I think, when I started this, my feeling on it was that it could be very big, and I think with more time that we're seeing, I think more and more coaches will start to do something like this, where it's like you add on the online resources too. Like you see it a lot, for example, like in the fitness world, there used to be no online training, and then people would just go to the gym and work out. And now you can do full programs at home, and you can get like feedback or live Zoom sessions or whatever it might be. So it's like, I think as coaches kind of see that more, even players, I think it'll be more of a norm. I do think it's still a little bit early. I think some players, if they don't understand the full picture, or parents, they might just think like, I'm not sure how this is going to be helpful or not, because everyone wants more of like the in-person coaching, right? But this is like a way to coach people worldwide or countrywide, where like if I'm from Chicago, I can coach somebody from California and it's no problem, versus just being only local like that. You know what I mean? So I do think it's going to continue to grow. Like I'm seeing programs pop up, every couple of months, really, like from different coaches that do it. And I think it's a good thing. I think, like I know I have a business around it, but like the competition is good. The more resources or option for players is also good. So I do think it's going to keep going. And I think it's a good thing for players.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think you're right. I think competition's healthy, right? I think that pushes us to improve and not be complacent, right? With just being okay. I think that pushes the creators, and I think that pushes the players. So the parent side, because you can never remove the kids from the player side. No, as much coaches would probably think they try to separate the two. Like at the end of the day, when you're coaching youth athletes, you can't forget about the parents.
Yep.
Parents who want to support their athletes' growth at home. How can parents best support their child's skill development outside of practice?
I think this is a tough one to answer, because you're right. The parents are pretty much attached to the kids. If it's club volleyball, they're pretty much the ones they're paying, right? So they're watching them, which is all good. Like we've seen parents on the very positive end where they're very supportive and it's great. We've seen it on the not so positive end where maybe it's a little bit too much, or parents are too hard on their kids, right? So I think it's about balance, and I think it's about, again, showing them the resources there. Because like maybe the parent sees a video about something like Volleyball University, and then it's just as simple as sharing it with your kid. Like, oh, look at this drill. You should try this drill, right? Parents tag their kids in it all the time. Sometimes the kids like it. Sometimes the kids say, Mom, I already know how to do this. But like just doing something like that can be helpful because then,
Yeah, I get that. I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I get, especially because I make a lot of videos, and
Right.
most of my clients, they're like, I go to club tournaments, and I have parents come up to me and be like, dude, I send your videos
Yes.
to my daughter all the
Exactly.
time,
Yeah.
right? Parents see that all the time. They're scrolling on Instagram and
Right.
TikTok, and they're like, oh, dude, I gotta send this to my kid. She needs to see
Yes,
this.
it's on their algorithm too, right? If you're a volleyball parent, you see volleyball videos. So I think sending it with your kid is good. And I think outside of that, probably not much more you can do. I mean, you can try to get them to do it, but like with teenagers and whatnot, if you're too pushy, they're not going to want to do it either, right? So it's like it's a balance. I think sending it and providing the resources, like they have volleyball at home, they have a nice spot to practice if they want to in the garage or something. That's pretty much the main thing. I think as a parent, that's how I would help, if my son plays volleyball.
Yeah, I think kind of being able to gauge as a parent, like how invested is your kid, right? And I think you like send them some videos, you see how their feedback towards that, like did they jump onto it, did they latch onto it, and they'd be like, oh my god, this was really good, or did they show a lot of interest, and maybe you try a little bit more, and you can maybe see like, oh wow, okay, so they're really serious about this, they want to get better, and they're open to the help. And then otherwise, maybe there's the other side of the spectrum where like you send a video and like crickets,
Right. Yeah.
nothing, no feed, right? Like they don't text back, thank you. They just like ghost, right? And there's like, okay, maybe it's not as, maybe I shouldn't push as much. I think every kid's different, and every relationship that each parent has with their kid is very different. So really, I think kind of they're going to be able to take a step back and see like, how are they receptive to it, and how much do they really want to get better? Because if a kid really wants to get better, they're gonna find ways to improve. They're gonna be open and maybe communicate that with their parent, like, hey, I really want to take this serious. This is my passion. Like, I want to continue to improve.
Yes.
And then as you go, I think as a parent, you can really try to gauge like, all right, how serious are they? What are they willing to sacrifice to make improvements, right? Like the Volleyball University, like, are they doing the drills at home? Can you see them set some time aside every single day to work on certain skills? Like, I think that as parents, you can maybe notice like their discipline, their consistency, like, is that increasing or decreasing?
Yes.
Right? Are they getting burned out, or are they on it? Like, where they're just nailing it every day. I think really huge for parents to really kind of see and really understand their child.
Yeah. And like it's also helpful to have, I found, like a third party, like something that like VBU, for example, like if because I coached kids for a long time. I used to be like a high school teacher, middle school teacher before this too. And so like anytime I'm coaching,
What subject you teach?
I taught social studies mainly, and I did some special education as well, of course, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, with that, like when I'm teaching or when I'm coaching, it's like the relationships are the most important thing, right? You have to show the players you care more about than just their skill development. It's like about them too and their goals. So if parents, I used to just tell parents, like, they're like, I don't know if my daughter will use this. I'm like, just sign up, send them my way. Let me talk to them, because they can message me, whatnot. And then if I could just make that first interaction happen where they see that I'm invested in them getting better, and they're not hearing it from their parents. Because sometimes the parents do know what they have to work on. It's like the parents like, yeah, she should be rotating more, because the parents get it too, but they don't want to hear it from their parents. Like they'll hear it from me because I'm a separate coach, right? So that's why I say it's just like, just get them on, let me get that first interaction. And then if I can foster that relationship and have them trust in me, then we can get them working without you having to do much.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said, I think sometimes I think all parents can agree that they have good intentions and they're probably saying the right
Yes.
things, but they just don't want to hear
Exactly.
from you. And I think that's really tough to hear, especially because you're about to, you have your sons too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure hopefully you don't have to go through this, but that's the reality of being a parent, and maybe having a teenager. And they if they could hear it from a coach authoritative figure or a mentor or someone they respect, they could be literally saying the exact same thing that you as a parent are saying, but it just hits.
Exactly. Yes.
Or they just eat it up, and and you're just back there like, dude, I've been saying this for weeks.
That's how it goes. Yes.
But that's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. And I think having that resource of like someone else maybe saying it to just get across the point, or to maybe get them to understand like, okay, this is where your development is, or this is what you need to work on, I think is really, really huge.
Yeah.
So like, how can parents use resources like the Volleyball University to keep their kids motivated without adding pressure?
Yeah. I mean, I think just kind of like we said, I think if you don't want to add the pressure, you just would use the resource. And I'm just going to talk about Volleyball University. I don't know about the other ones, but like allow your actual child to interact with the program or interact with the coach, and then let them kind of handle it from there, right? Because you can just provide the resource and trust that they'll use it or not. And then if not, then you don't need it anymore, right? So I think it's more so not pushing them to do it, just like opening the door for them and then letting them kind of handle it on their own, taking some accountability or like responsibility on their own for their own development too.
Yeah. I think that's going to take the kids so much farther, is when they have autonomy and they make choices for themselves.
Yes.
Right. When they're intrinsically motivated, that, hey, they want it, they're passionate about it. And when they're seeking it out and asking for it and doing it on their own without you having to tell them, like their motivation is going to be much higher and probably sustained for a much longer period of time. And they're going to improve. They're going to see a lot more improvement, as opposed to, I guess, the other side, which would be, the parents who they want it more than the kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's when it gets,
you don't want that
the motivation goes down and the improvement is not as high, or it is not as much as you had expected, because it's just the parents who want it more. And that's tough. Do you see that? Have you had experience with that with some of your clients, where you felt that the parents just wanted it way more?
Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? I think I've seen it in person. I see it online, right? There's definitely cases where the parents are more motivated than the kid. And I get it. Like, I don't think they're coming from a place of like, like, I think there's like this, a lot of people say like parents try to live out their dreams in their kids. I don't know if I see that as much anymore, to be honest. I think it's just like, they know that their kid's success is going to make their kid happy. And but they also know that like their kid is maybe at this level and they need to get to this level to be successful. And they know that you have to work to get to that level. But the reason they know that is because they're older, their brains are, as a parent, your brain's fully developed. You've experienced life. So you know that work is required, and the kids may not be there yet, right? So they need to kind of learn that lesson on their own, which is like, eventually you're going to learn that like when you put in work, it's going to help you out, and once you learn less on your own, it becomes very powerful. But I think as parents, you already know that lesson and you're trying to just give it to your kid, but it takes like experience to them to get that lesson,
That's tough. I think, when you're a kid, you're just thinking in the short term, that instant gratification. And it's tough, like you said, like the adults, they understand long-term, right? They understand like, oh, if I do this 5 years from now, I'm going to be really happy. Right. And but for kids, like you said, just developmentally, mentally, like it's just really tough for them to see that far ahead.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's just like parenting, and just having to deal with that. And sometimes the kids just having a little bit of faith that, hey, okay, maybe I don't agree with this, but my parents do, or my coach who's been doing it for a long time says this is important. So, all right, I'll have a little bit of faith.
Exactly.
I'll try it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely a balance of not pushing your kid too hard. No one's figured out yet, I'm sure.
So what advice would you give a parent whose athlete wants to reach the next level, but feels limited by just access to training?
Yeah. This is a tough one because, like, when you're most of the players that you probably talk to, especially when they're younger, like everyone wants to like go play in college, and then now we have this pro league, so players want to play pro eventually, and that's good. I was the same. I'm sure you wanted to make the NBA too when you were like in 8th grade, like me. Like,
so of course, man. Are you kidding me? I was going to play for the Lakers.
I was going to play for the Bulls,
right? I for sure thought I was going to make it to the NBA.
So it's like you have those dreams and everything, but you have to like Wait, what was the beginning part of the question? I got lost by the NBA.
No, you're good. I know the Laker comment threw you off. I understand. No, just like what advice would you give a parent like just whose kid they just want to get to that next
Right, yeah.
level.
Lack of
They want to play college ball, right? But they just feel like they're just limited access, right? Because there's places across the United States that there's just like one club, one really big club for the whole state, right? And it's like 2-3 hours away, and it's just like, you know what? That's just not attainable for our family.
Yeah.
Where maybe you have to play for like a local club. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's smaller, has limited resources, and that's just the reality in some places in the United States where there's just one really big club that goes to nationals that college coaches actually get to go see, and maybe these families feel like, man, my daughter has this passion, she wants to move on, but I just feel like there's just not resources available to me just locally.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think the advice there is I think you gotta, make what you have work type of thing. So like if you have like a club that's too far away, then you might have to practice just from home and rely on high school ball to like be the thing for you, So it's like also using these online resources that are oftentimes cheaper, or if you want to go the free route, it's all on YouTube too, right? It's all on TikTok too. So you can totally have your kids practice from home. The truth be told, like if you really do want to play in college, it is going to be harder for you if you are like you have to almost in a sense be playing club. It's hard to not play club and go to college. It's possible, but it's like you'll be the outlier, right? But you got to at least play club. Most like if you can't afford privates or you can't go to clinics and things like that, you're going to also be held back a little more. So it's more so about balancing out what you can't do by doing more of what you can do. So you might have to practice from home a lot compared to somebody who is doing privates on the side, right? And I think if you do that, I do think it's possible to make it to the next level. But again, you are going to be an outlier. You are going to be different than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big thing you said was just there's some free resources out there, right? Even back when I was in college, like I wish I did this more was like if there was a subject I didn't really understand, I'd just YouTube how to, and then there'd be like a ton of videos, a bunch of professors talking about that exact subject. Maybe I didn't that I didn't understand, and I maybe saw it in a different way, or they explained it in a different way, and I'm like, oh wow, dude, this makes way more sense now, right? And that was free. And like, years ago, decades ago, students had to just read books
Go to
and go to the library
really...
and just try to figure it out on their own, But yeah, I think there's some other things though, like some physical stuff. I think, all right, maybe I don't have access to like a volleyball coach one-on-one who can teach me, but like, I think the weight room, I think that's one, your physical, right, aspects. I think everyone maybe genetically there's some limitations, but that doesn't mean you can't make improvements in strength, in speed, in your vertical jump. I think those things are things that you have control over, that you can put time and work into and improve and see real improvement when you're in high school, trying to play at the next level, just being physically fit and just conditioned, increasing your vertical. And you might have to go to the JUCO route, which there's nothing wrong with that. I went the JUCO route, and I had a really awesome experience where the coaching was better and I was part of a really good team and I learned a ton. And that allowed me to get a scholarship to transfer to a 4-year right after, to play at the next level, to finally play against Division I teams. And yeah, that might not be your path. And that's, I think, perfectly fine. I think there's nothing wrong with, everyone has their own journey, and you just have to embrace it and be thankful of how unique it is, and to get to the goals and to attain the goals that you're looking for.
Yeah. I actually met a JUCO coach recently at like a prep dig, like showcase type thing. And he was just telling me about like how their scholarships work for even going to like a JUCO or going to like a 2-year college. You can play there for 2 years, you can transfer out, you get 2 years paid for. So there's so many different ways to do it. Not everyone has to go like getting a D1 offer your sophomore year type of thing. It's like there's many routes to get where you want to go. And for some, it's just going to take a little longer, but it all comes down to controlling, like you mentioned, control the things you can control and just keep working at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the weight room, free resources online, right? Again, maybe you're at a small club without the resources. See, whether it's free or paid, there are resources to help you improve. And then you just mentioned another one, like maybe your club team isn't going to these big tournaments, but there's these college showcases that you can, that are available to, hey, this is a little clinic that's going to put you in front of actual coaches,
Exactly.
right? And you'll have film, they'll send it out. Like that's going to be your opportunity, or just even like now social media, right? I think that's also a really big thing. Posting on social media. I see kids all the time make Instagram volleyball pages where they post the things they're doing at home, their game film, right? And just the exposure. I think kids are in a really cool space where they have so much access to stuff and they have a lot of opportunities to be able to be seen. It's going to take some work. That's what it comes down to. It's just going to take some work.
Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, I mean, there's a lot of kids aren't willing to do the extra work. Like it's actually not that hard to stand out. It really isn't. Like you have to do more, but there's so many kids that aren't willing to do more because they rather just, doom scroll on TikTok or something like that, that if you actually do more, you will stick out eventually. So
yeah. Like even simple things like getting your sleep right? Making sure you wake up and go to sleep at a consistent time, get your 8 hours in. Cause dude, the studies on athletic performance and sleep is crazy for youth athletes.
It's literally, I think,
I know
the biggest.
kids. I'm sure you talk to a ton of kids who, man, they stay up way too late.
Oh yeah.
And they have a game or a tournament the next day. I'm like, dude, why are you up till 2, 3 a.m.? Like I talk to some kids. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's something you can definitely control. I know that's hard, like to sleep early, but like you are in full control of that.
Yeah. Like there's I think we can make a massive list about all the little things that athletes have control over that I think they won't see the benefit immediately, but like, it's like that compound interest. I think over 2-3 years of just sticking with it, dude, by year 2, 3, 4, like they're just going to be skyrocketing in their just volleyball performance and athletic performance.
And that's the other thing too, is that it's not just about doing the extra work. It's about having the patience, that delayed gratification, right? Like there's like a quote, like the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. So you have to be able to wait a little bit. But if you wait and you keep consistently doing it, then you're going to be good.
Yeah. No, that's true. That the instant gratification, the discipline, and that's, again, it's, if you're not 6 or jumping out of the gym at 5th grade, like you're gonna have to put a little bit of work in, right? Those are like God-given gifts, and maybe you don't have that, but you can get better by putting in time. And I always tell this to athletes is you're gonna get out of it whatever you put into it, right? Are you gonna be the next Albert Einstein or LeBron James? Maybe. Maybe not. Right. Maybe not. Right. Those are generational people, but you can get better. Right. Same thing in their school. Like, hey, maybe you're not good at math. What do? You study. You do practice tests. You improve. You put time into it. Same thing in volleyball. Same thing in relationships and in life. Like, are you going to be the best in the world at this? That's tough. That's not for me to say how far you're going to go, but I can definitely guarantee if you stick with it and you work hard, you're going to improve. Yes. How much? I can't tell you. I hate when there's coaches who say like really early on in like when she's like 12 or 13 or this kid's really young, like, oh, dude, this is going to be the next big thing. Or they don't have enough, or they don't have, oh, this kid's going to be awful at volleyball. They have no potential. I'm like, dude, how do you know? There's no way you can know how a kid is going to develop and turn out. Dude, there's so many examples of late bloomers who develop into college, right? That were maybe average in high school, but in college, they just turn a corner. So you don't know. No one knows how are you going to turn out? How are you going to develop at the end of your career? Yeah. So stick with it.
Even on
what do you have to lose?
The opposite end of the spectrum, there's so many kids that, like you said, like, though they're going to be the next greatest player and then they fall off because they stop working hard or whatever, right? So like it all comes down to what work you put in and giving it time.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Like an 8th grader who was phenomenal, just like destroying balls and just so like just everyone's like, wow, man, she's going to be so good one day. And then just like by junior year, it's just like,
stalled.
It didn't work out. And it just didn't work out, whether it was maybe her work ethic or maybe it had nothing to do with that. Maybe she just plateaued and just really didn't make as big gains as the athletes around her. And that just happens. And that's just life, right? That we as coaches, as much as maybe we'd like to know everything like of development or how a kid's going to turn out, we actually have no idea. Might have like, you know what I mean? That's just the truth. Like we have the tools, we have the pathway, we have like guidance, and we're trying to get them to go somewhere. But how far they're going to go down that path is, I wish I had a crystal ball that's going to like tell me like how good is this kid going to be is like, okay, should I make them a setter or an outside? Which one is going to make them go down this path the farthest?
Yeah.
And we
Don't
don't
know.
know, I wish, but we don't. So I think for athletes, that should be really exciting. That should be really exciting that to know that no matter what coaches tell you, right? Whether it's sometimes negative, right? I'm sure a lot of your athletes have had negative experiences of like, oh man, my coach tells me I'm not good at this, or I'm not going to go for it. I'm not going to be able to play at the next level. Like, hey, you know what the reality is, kid? They don't know.
They don't know.
You could 100, you can turn it around, right? You could be a late bloomer. There is that chance,
Yeah.
right? But the only way to get there is consistency, discipline.
Right. Yep. Doesn't matter the sport. Doesn't matter the age. It's the same.
Yeah. Like you said, like, yeah, I'm my own example too. Like I started playing club at junior year, right? I only played 2 years of club. I went the JUCO route, and then I eventually got a scholarship. I got a full ride.
That's what's up.
Like
You can do it like that. It can happen.
Yeah.
And you're just one example.
But you have to put a lot of time in. Yeah. You had to do a lot. Dude, I had to go over the summer. I would go to the girls volleyball camp at my high school to get reps.
That's a good way to do it too.
Dude, they had practice at 6 a.m.
That's wild.
I had to wake up early.
6 a.m. is crazy.
And to practice, and I would practice with varsity.
That's wild, but that's what it takes.
It was so early. Hey, it takes what it takes, right? It takes what it takes. So what are you willing to do to get those extra reps to improve? Right? I played with a bunch of girls. For some guys, that'd probably be really embarrassing. I was like, I don't care. I need to get better at passing. I need to get better at defense, right? Because as a basketball player, getting thrown into volleyball, I was middle.
Yes, of course. The other skills take a little more time to develop.
They just saw me really tall, and I'm like, no, you're middle. we need you to I'm telling you, I got out of playing in the middle so quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough position to play, but the basketball players always get stuck on middle.
No, every time. Yeah, I just wanted to get set more. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to be an outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to play all the way around. I hated getting subbed out for the libero.
Yeah. That's a tough one too, man.
I did not want.
Very few middles that get to stay all the way around. Very, very few, if any at all.
I just didn't want to get out. I wanted to keep on playing. So yeah, man, went to camps for my high school, the girls, and just worked on my passing, defense, service, even just, because I couldn't hit front row with them. That's not fair, but I mean, I can play back row. So I just got a ton of reps, just reps playing, and just the opportunity just to get some reps and get better at my back row. I knew I needed that to be able to play outside. Like, man, I got to be able to pass. I got to be able to play defense.
And working with girls too, usually from what I've seen from coaching and just in general, they're always technically better passers and defenders than the guys are. Right? Guys are just kind of like throwing their hands on the ball, and the girls, you see them, they all look great with their platforms. So like practicing with them and seeing them practice pass and all that, I'm sure it benefited you too, just visually taking it all in.
Yeah, 100%. It was just that really helped me. Yeah, man, waking up at 5:30 to walk to school. Like, hey, man, like, what are you willing to do? This was my summer. Not a lot of kids are going to be willing to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go get reps, but it takes what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? My parents didn't wake me up. They were asleep.
Yeah.
Right. Like at
the
end of the day, athletes got to take some ownership. And do you really want this? Right? You're going to be doing some things that, hey, do you really want this? Right? Like tournaments, for club. I was my junior senior year. I had a lot of friends go out to parties, and I'm like, man, I'm just going to stay home because I got to get some sleep. I have a tournament in the morning.
You got to be the outlier. You got to be different. That's just that's the route you take.
Not everyone's going to understand.
Yeah.
So it takes what it takes. So just quick advice. If you could give one piece of advice to players or to coaches or to parents, what would it be? Just one piece of advice.
Okay. So to players, I would say, a lot of it is just what we just talked about, which is like, control what you can control. Understand that if you really want this, you just got to keep going. You just got to keep putting the work in. Some players are going to see results faster than other players. You might be putting in more work than like your teammate, and they might get the offer before you or whatever it might be, right? But you have to kind of stay the course. And, I promise you, if you stay the course, you're going to get something out of it, right? It might not be getting the scholarship that you want or whatever. You might not even play volleyball anymore after high school or whatever it might be, right? But the fact that you have learned to put in work and you have learned to like be more disciplined, take more accountability, right? That's going to help you out in life. I bet you're probably like me where it's like, for me, like once I was able to go from like getting cut my sophomore year to like eventually making varsity and, being captain and all that. Like once I was able to master that or do that, like I felt like I could do anything pretty much, right? I'm sure you're the same. Like once you got your from JUCO to D1 and all that, you're like, I know that if I work out, it'll work for me. Like, so you could do anything, whether it's your job or a business you want to start or anything else. You build that confidence by putting the work in and like proving to yourself that like when I work hard, when I do this, good things will happen. It might happen later, might happen sooner, but that's the main advice to players is like, just keep working, and stay consistent and understand it takes some time.
Yeah, that's why I think like all kids should play team sports.
Yes.
I think all kids should play team sports. I think the ability to collaborate and to work with teammates is massive when you get into the workforce, right? When you become an employee and dealing with coaches, whether you like them or you hate them, you're going to have bosses you don't like. You're going to have bosses you love, right? But sports give you an opportunity to really work and deal with some of these situations. And I think that's huge. I think that's such a missed opportunity if you go through your childhood and not play some team sports, because it's a great vehicle for life, right? Team sports. You have these you're able to pick up social skills, work with authority figures, collaborate, compromise, right? Go through some failure.
Mhm.
Man, dude, sometimes kids got to fail sometimes. Right. I think that's how you learn. You learn through your failures. And I think it's in sports, you're going to fail. Only one team gets to win a championship, right? Only one team gets to win a ships. A lot of teams are going to fail. A lot of these kids are going to fail. I think that's good. I think that builds character. I think it teaches you to really want something, and it teaches you to work hard for it.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think it just teaches you so much. It allows you so many opportunities to practice or experience like different emotions and regulating those emotions and all that. So I think team sports definitely huge. I think the advice for let's do parents, I guess. With parents, it's tough, but I remember watching like a Kobe Bryant interview one time where he was talking about his parents, and he was talking about like a summer. I think he was like 12 or 13, like a summer league where he scored like 0 points the whole summer. And he was just super down about it. And he was talking to his dad. His dad basically said like, like you can score 0 points, you can score 60 points. We're going to love you the same type of thing. Right. So I think biggest advice for parents when it comes to volleyball is like, just give them the reassurance that their successes, their failures don't affect what you think about them, right? Like you are their parents, you're going to love them no matter what. And I think when players have that security and that reassurance, it allows them to like go out there and do what they got to do. Knowing that like, I'm not going to disappoint my parents, even make my parents proud. Like I'm not necessarily going to even make them proud. Like they're going to be proud of me no matter what. I'm doing it for me type of thing. So just give them that freedom of like, we're not basing your performance on anything. Like this is your thing. We're here to support you however we can. We'll be here to cheer for you financially. We have to like pay for lessons, stuff like that. We can do that for you, but like, this is your thing. You're going to be the same no matter what.
Yeah. So you're telling parents pretty much that car ride home, don't dissect.
Don't
play by.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Play by play, what they did wrong, what they could have done better. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm sure.
It's good. When I have my kid one day, I'll make sure I don't do that.
Well, we know that some parents would do that anyway, but we can't control that. That's the advice. And the last one.
No, yeah, I think that's huge. I think just loving your kid and seeing them as just people and not just athletes, I think is huge. And trying to just remember that that's your kid. You love them and you're going to support them, and not everything's going to be rainbows and sunshines, but through it all, like you want your kid to know that they're going to be supported.
Yes.
Right? That you're always going to be in their corner, and that's just going to be huge to them. And that's going to be all the world to them. And that's going to be more important to your child than any medal, any scholarship will ever do for them.
Yes.
Right? Because they're going to be your kid for the rest of your life. Right? Their career as an athlete, unfortunately, at some point will end. Right. So understanding the priorities and what's first and what's most important and what's going to be the longest, no matter what, they're still your kid.
Yes.
And they always will be.
100%. Yeah. And I think the last thing is we said coaches, right? I think biggest piece of advice for coaches, I think, is just remembering that, with coaching, it's really not about the wins and losses, right? It's like the bigger thing you're doing, hopefully, as a coach, is trying to make a positive impact on players. So just keeping that in mind, right? Like players, even as a teacher, I thought about this too. It's like they don't remember what you teach them necessarily, but they remember how you made them feel, type of thing, right? So like you want to make sure you're instilling positivity into them and like teaching them life lessons if you can, right? It may not always be your time to teach specific life lessons, but you always want to be like a positive, like role model for them and just understand that like, yeah, you want to win, of course, right? And maybe at the college level, that's where the winning matters a little bit more. If you're coaching club, especially, like it's really about making the positive impact over everything else.
Yeah. It's, you don't want to be the kid's last coach,
Yeah.
right? You hear that all the time. Like you, as a coach, like you don't want to be the reason why someone quits a sport. So just understanding that they're watching and they're how you act and how you treat people, and what kind of message are you trying to send, and what kind of values do you want them to understand and instill, I think are absolutely huge in understanding that this could affect them for the rest of their life, right? Their work ethic, how they view others, right? You have an opportunity as a coach to, again, grow the next generation, right? Of leaders, doctors, engineers, workers, like the next workforce. Like at some point, again, these kids are going to stop being athletes. Maybe not all of them. Some might be pro athletes. You might be lucky enough to coach an Olympian, but that's not everyone. So you have an opportunity to maybe instill some really cool values to the next generation. And I think that's a really huge and awesome responsibility that hopefully coaches understand and that they appreciate.
Yeah. I think one of the like my favorite things that I can instill in the player is like the love for the game type of thing, where even when they're done playing like their high school, or if they play in college, when they're done playing in college, like that they're still playing as much as they can because they just love the sport so much. Like even when I'm playing in like adult tournaments locally, it's like always funny because like over time, I'll see more and more former athletes also playing in those tournaments. It's like, oh, hey, coach, like randomly, oh, I'm glad you're still playing. Like, that's awesome. Like, damn, coach, I can't believe you're still playing. So like, I've been able to see that a lot, and it's been awesome. And some players, I even like end up playing with them. Like, hey, you're in college now. I need an outside. You want to play with me? So it's like seeing that is really nice.
No, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think especially as a club director here in California, we have so many kids come through our program. I see like 400 to 500 kids every year. Sometimes those kids come back and coach for us, and I think that's such a good what's the word, like not scale, but like that's a good measure. It's just a really good way to measure. Like, man, I think we're doing something right. That kids, after having a positive experience with us after playing in college, that, or maybe not all the time playing college, but that they just want to come back and give back, right? Come back to the club, be a coach, and work with the next generation, and just instill that love, like you said, that love of the game that they had, or that maybe that they found with us, and share that with all these young athletes. And I think that's, to me, is just awesome. When every time I get text messages about like, hey, is there any way I can coach? Or, hey, I'm out of college, or I'm looking for a college job. Like I would love to come and coach and just stay with the sport. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome. And like, we always welcome them back. They're usually super passionate. And those are the coaches that, I always look for.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, my man. So as a little quick wrap up, where can people find you? Where can they find Volleyball University? How can they connect with you?
Main thing is on socials like Instagram, TikTok. If you just type in Volleyball University, my page will probably come up, so you can always find me there. If you wanted to like message me specifically, Instagram is probably the best way to do it because I'll see those. If you're interested in like the actual coaching program, again, you go to any of those social media profiles, there's probably gonna be a link somewhere. So if you can't find that, again, message me and I can help you out. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll definitely, below the video, I'll make sure there's a link directly into your Instagram and some other socials. So I'll make sure there's some direct links. So if anyone out there wants to work with Coach Kha, I highly recommend it. If you want to level up on your own, this is the guy you want to talk to and you want to work with, because He's worked with so many athletes. A lot of people follow him because he's extremely knowledgeable and he knows what he's talking about. So thank you, Coach Kha, for coming on to the Volleyball Coach Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. You brought so much value to everyone here who's going to be listening to this. And I just want to say thank you, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it, man. Was happy to be here.
Awesome. All right, guys. Till next week. Peace.